this is our cold open. We just said, wait, don't record. I'll change to my hotspot. And then I went, okay. And then I pressed record, and he is immediately frozen. Welcome to Who Dat. I just did it. You just froze like for so long. I just introduced it.
I literally went, "Hello, universe," and it was like bang. Anyway, hello. It's good to
Hi,
be
Jerome.
here.
How
Hi,
are
Mike.
you?
I'm good. I'm here. I made it.
The big thing that we've got to talk about. I mean, we tread a lot of this ground last week, or a couple of weeks ago. But Stephen Moffat has officially returned. I don't think it was a surprise. Was it a surprise for you?
No.
No.
I mean, he's very it's weird, isn't it, with Stephen Moffat, because he's kind of become this like comical version of himself. Have you noticed this? Like whether it be Sherlock or whether it be the series he did with David Tennant, another beloved of our Doctor Who stars, where it was the weird priest one. I can't remember the name of it, but I did watch it.
I don't think I watched that. No.
It's interesting, and it's definitely not the right vibes for a Doctor Who podcast, but if you are interested in Stephen Moffat's work, do check it out. But it was like he does all these kind of comical sort of like reveals all on Twitter now and opinions and things, and it's kind of like, I was joking, but I wasn't, but I am, and it's like, thanks, Stephen. But no,
he's really self-deprecating in interviews as well. So
yeah.
There was an interview where I think he had like an interview about his whole career. The video's up on YouTube, but I believe that was recorded half an hour after the news dropped that he was returning. So he made a joke about it, and he did essentially say, he said, "I have never said no. I've just kind of like skirted around it, like, you know, by saying things like, there's no room for me in Doctor Who anymore, you know, that kind of thing." And yeah, Moffat lies. We all know it. So yeah, I am overjoyed that he's back. I think it's such a vibe.
He's a brilliant writer, and let's be frank. Like, it wouldn't have the success it does without him. Like, obviously Russell started, but in terms of like taking it on, like, he's had some of the best episodes. Also, I know everyone says this now. It's over. You know, it's no surprise anymore. But he made the Weeping Angels. They are one of the most iconic villains in Doctor Who ever, in the entirety of the show. Like, even if he'd done that and nothing else, he would be like fondly remembered. Do you know what I mean? So
they might, in the terms of ranking, they may have surpassed the Daleks. That's how popular they are.
Yeah. And like, even like, I don't personally, I still think the strongest episode is Blink, but like with any episode of any villain, like normally their first one is the best because you've never seen it before. And like, honestly, even now, as someone who is in their late 20s, they give that scene with the TARDIS where they kind of do the weird kind of jilty camera work, where the angels are just, that gives me nightmares to this day. There's something just about that unorganic, stilted movement with the sound effects and the lighting that is genuinely scary. Like, I remember watching that episode and being like, I'm not okay with this. Funny quick story as well. I once stayed with some friends in Bury, and our northern viewers will know exactly where that is. For southerners, it's north of the M25. And I was staying in a room once at the top of this house, which was like an old Victorian house, very dark corners, like really creaky wooden stairs going everywhere. And in the corner of this room was an angel.
And long story short, Jerome just didn't blink all night. You just didn't blink all night, did you? Yeah.
No, it's one of my many skills that I've added.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think they're so iconic, and I thought they used them really sparingly and really wisely after they were first introduced. So obviously, Blink comes out in series 3 of Doctor Who, I think. Obviously, immediately propels the Weeping Angels to be one of the sort of best villains in Doctor Who history. And they don't appear in series 4 at all, which is, I think, good. Or maybe they do. I mean, I don't know. They definitely, they don't appear as the villain. You know, they might appear as like a cameo. I don't know. I can't remember. And then, no, I don't think they do either. Though. And then obviously, then they come back in a two-part of the Matt Smith's first series, obviously Stephen Moffat's first series. So obviously the Weeping Angels are going to come back. But I think they were reintroduced in, I think it was Time of the Angels, I think that's what they were called. I think that's what the episode's called. I thought they were reintroduced really well. And I thought it sort of added to them because you could easily see them. You could easily see a villain like the Weeping Angels only working because it's like they were introduced in like a self-contained story. It's like a bottle episode. But then they were brought back in like a full whack Doctor Who adventure. And I thought it was great.
Yeah, also they've gone on to be like big parts of like Doctor Who lore in terms of things they've added to the Doctor's own history. So for example, like they are the reason behind Amy and Rory being blasted to the past and kind of like removed from the Doctor's own personal timeline and his kind of life. So I think that's like the biggest compliment to any introduced character, isn't it? Is that they like you say, their lore has just been expanded upon and they have become more significant and like a vital cog, I suppose.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Like I think they're great. I love them. I think like with any villain, the risk is that they'll be overused because they're so popular. And I mean, it's happened to the Daleks. And it's like but also I think like you see this all the time. Like it's like the equivalent of the Joker in Batman. It's like you want someone to stop using them because you want them to be given a rest to kind of that time in the sun to sort of be a genuine surprise when you come back. But they're so popular and they're so good that there are so many conceivable stories you can make around them. So it's difficult. I think it's difficult, but we'll see.
I wonder if Russell T Davies has got plans for them in his new era of Doctor Who.
What, the Weeping Angels? Alex?
Yeah. They're the Weeping Angels.
The Weeping Angels.
Sorry, were you talking about the Daleks?
I was just talking about.
I got a feeling your internet cut out when you if you were talking about the Daleks just then. I reckon your internet cut out when you first mentioned them. So it cut out, and then I just thought you were talking about the Weeping Angels this entire time. What a podcast!
I mean, it surprised me as well. Finally managed to go up against Stairs. That honestly blew my mind.
Yeah, I think so I do wonder if Russell T Davies is going to bring them back, the Weeping Angels. It'd be really cool if Stephen Moffat's episode was a Weeping Angels episode. And also, arguably the best episode of Flux was with the Weeping Angels as well. That was an iconic scene when, I think it's the end of that episode, the Weeping Angels turn Jodie Whittaker's Doctor into a Weeping Angel and then sort of transport them to their planet. I thought, it's amazing.
I felt like what really scared me about them first was the fact they were so not like their movement and their abilities were just so unknown to anything we kind of understand. And I just feel like the more you see them do it and kind of able to, I don't know. I don't know. It was maybe I didn't like it as much as I liked it when they didn't do.
Yeah, I thought I agree with you. I think it's a bit of a misstep. I think it is in that season 5 two-parter. You see one of the angels move their heads, and I thought that was a bit of a misstep. Yeah. I think I understand why they did it. I thought
and like
that's not.
Yeah, you've got to try stuff, haven't you?
Because then, when do you shut that door? You know, are you just going to see a weeping angel walking around at some point, or like running towards somebody? Like yeah.
It's difficult, but he's back.
Yeah, he's back, and I'm absolutely thrilled about it. I think such a good move. Obviously, he couldn't resist. Couldn't resist. He's probably got so many good Doctor Who stories tumbling around in his head, and he needs an outlet for them. And I think that's so cool.
Because you're only doing that two-parter or a single episode, you can just cram all of your energy into it. Like, you don't have to worry about anything else. You can just go, I am going to absolutely nail and pen this episode. And I think it will be one of the strongest episodes in theory, just because we know he's quality. And I think that he will, he'll have all of his eggs in that basket. So I feel like it will be really good.
And he's got such a killer track record with Doctor Who specifically. So even when he was showrunner and he had to manage entire series of the show, and like you said, his attention was split everywhere, and he was doing all the showrunner duties, so he was helping other people with their scripts. His scripts that he would contribute, so his episodes were always the best ones. They were always killer. There were hardly any Moffat flops. So he, in my opinion, I know people have got serious criticisms about his handling of certain things, which we won't go into. So I don't think I do the criticism justice. But in terms of how he plots and structures Doctor Who, I think he is. I mean, I think he's the best of the best, actually.
Yeah, I think he also, like, you have to take into account like the transition period he was going through with the show, because obviously like Russell had started it with New Who, and you know it kind of exploded. But when Stephen took over, like, it was big. Like when Russell took over, people were going, "This might work. It might not. It probably won't." Like, there was a reason it was taken off there. The pressure's off. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're just building on success there. Like, then they'd sustain success, and Stephen had to like go bigger and do more with it. And also, you're getting slightly more money in, like especially with the Matt Smith series and going in later to Peter Capaldi, like you're getting bigger stars in. you're getting suddenly like maybe certain names are starting to be attached to roles and things. Yeah, like you say, there are criticisms of his tenure that I think are valid. I think I don't think there has ever been a showrunner who has gone totally perfectly. Like I think there are. I think also like there's probably
Chris Chibnall.
There's probably a call out for especially I don't know, probably a female showrunner, or to kind of like just look at certain characters and maybe give more time to just reflect different relationships and things. Because I mean, like there is always this joke about the Moffat era, isn't there, with every companion is like they're not getting out if they're alive and all of these things, and yeah, it's interesting, but again we can leave that for another video. But I think it's good in terms of him coming back to the show. I can't see it being a bad thing. I think especially if he's just coming back, it'll be good. You want the quality to be high, you want the episodes to be iconic, but also like it's nice that they can have fun with their past writers and they can offer something to the show. But also I think it's important that you're bringing in new writers for this series, which they are. There are some people who've never written for Doctor Who before who are coming in for this series, and I think that's equally important. Like it's one of those shows, it has to keep changing, and I think like a balance of people who know the show inside out, who've been there for ages, and people who are doing it for the first time. I think it's good. I think it's not always going to work, but I think it's a good principle to go off. So
Russell T Davies has said in the past that Stephen Moffat's scripts tend to be the only scripts that he doesn't have to touch and make any edits to, or sort of have any suggestions with, because he's so confident that they're always going to be kind of maybe exactly what you expect and also completely not what you expect. So there's this great balance of like, this is great Doctor Who and this is going to work as an episode of Doctor Who, and also this is a really inventive new story. I also think as a showrunner, as a former showrunner, it must be so nice for Russell T Davies to receive a script that has all of the things that a showrunner needs to think about already baked into it. So budget constraints, like all the intricacies, like locations, like Stephen Moffat will be a pro, like an absolute pro at that. So it must have been easy. And also interesting from Russell T Davies' statement, it appears that he called Chris Chibnall as well and said, look, like, we've got all this money now, like it's a Disney production as well, like come back, like it'll be great. Because
I think it's good. Like it does feel a little bit like we're getting the band back together, boys. Do you know what I mean? but it's I think like obviously Chris has left. Apparently Russell asked him to come back. I don't think it's the craziest move in terms of like that being a natural successor. Obviously, the Chris Chibnall era was very divisive. I think that's the fairest thing you can say about it. But I think like you say, being a writer and being a showrunner are almost completely different from them, because obviously like Stephen and Russell, when they were showrunners, obviously wrote their own episodes, but like I mean, they would. I think that was kind of ingrained at the point where it was on autopilot some of the time, where it would just happen. They would just do it. Because like there's a couple of Stephen Moffat episodes, I'm sure, when he was showrunner, where you go, not his greatest. But you know what? You look at them in isolated episodes and go, actually, they were like good. They were fine episodes. They were, they were fine. Like they easily fit in a season, but maybe they weren't their best. And again, like there's so many plates you have to spin and all sorts. And to be fair to Chris, I did think like the later on he got in his tenure, like when he started to, because I think towards the last series with Flux and everything, which again we have had many debates on, but towards the end of that, I think he started to write a lot more of the episodes, and I think they got stronger, like in terms of an actual like structure and all of these things. Like the last series, the story seemed to be, I don't know, like more. Or I think like one of the criticisms I remember seeing of like the first series of like Jodie Whittaker, for instance, is that some of the what we would know as filler episodes just felt so even like some of them you just couldn't place them and things, and like the writing was always maybe them people coming on board and stuff. So I don't know, it's hard though, isn't it? It's like it's a very transitional phase, and I'm not a writer. I'm in no place to criticize any writing, but it was I think it's difficult. It must be an incredibly difficult task show running a complete portion of a show, but who knows, if he had come back under Russell's tenure and done a double parter, could be one of the best Doctor Who episodes out there going. But he's not.
Anyway, well, we beat that horse to death. So moving on,
We've
the other
laughed.
massive,
Right.
massive bit of news that we've had is they've released a trailer for Series 1, a full
They
proper
have.
trailer.
They have released. Yes. Have you seen it?
So I have seen it. We're going to watch it together for the podcast,
Mm.
just to sort of review it. I've seen it a couple of times, so it'd be good to sort of review it with you. But before we do, I just wanted to get your thoughts on them calling it Season 1.
Interesting, isn't it? Um, I mean, I assume the main reason is because this is like Disney Who, and Disney want to kind of flex their multiverse muscles. Do you know what I mean? In terms of going, Doctor Who is now under our umbrella, and we're going to make it a completely bigger, bolder, bluer show. So I think, to be honest, I'm trying to not really pay much attention to it because, and I won't say too much because we're about to watch the trailer, but there are things in the trailer which definitely relate to seasons that have just gone and recent stories that have been apart. And also, like, Russell's there, Stephen's there. All right, it says Season 1, but it's hardly a detachment from the past, really, is it? I think, like, we've already had it. They already had, like, Series 1 of New Who. They've already, you know, when it got stopped and all of these things. I'm not overly bothered by it, but what do you think?
I'm not bothered by it just because I think it gets a little bit silly when you get into these sort of numbers. You know, I mean, what series would this be if they had continued the numbering convention since the classics?
I think it finished on like series, I want to say 27. I could be completely wrong about that though, but I'm going to say it was like McCoy's last series was series 27. Then you had the Doctor Who TV movie, and then how many series of New Who did we have?
So there's been, if this
Series,
wasn't series 1, I think this would be series. That is a good question.
I know
Uh,
Capaldi did series 8, 9, 10. Did he do a
yeah,
fourth series?
no, he did
So
8,
it would have
9,
been
10.
11, 12, 13. This would be, so Whittaker had two full series, didn't she? Then she had
Yeah,
the third and specials. I'm guessing Tennant's would have been series 14,
if you call it
technically,
like a mini series, yeah,
mini
yeah.
series. So like series 13B or series 14. So this would be series 15, which is quite funny because this is the 15th Doctor within
But
reason.
you can perfectly see why they would do this because it's a rebrand for the show. It's got a new distribution partner. It's a new creative team. You want to get your new viewers on board. What's the point of having a doctor that regenerates all the time? Like if you've got that part of it, which is like to get new viewers in, but then yeah, I think you have to have the branding to come with it because you're not getting. I think you're hardly getting anybody coming into a series in like a series 15 as a new viewer, are you? Because you'd just be put off by the fact that it's series 15.
Yeah, I think, and there's a lot that's happened. Like with, I'm hoping, spoiler alert, but I'm hoping everyone has seen the Tennant specials now. But it's like, um, you know, with the whole like David Tennant's 14th Doctor is still around, and that is almost a continuation of the New Who series, and this is like its own separate thing. Like I do understand where they're going and the separation of just like, I know there was again a lot of like people kind of questioning it with the whole like you can just let it go, the whole kind of the trauma and the guilt you're suffering and all that. But I from a logistical point of view, I get it because they kind of like they'd gone through such emotional turmoil and such a arc of, do you know what I mean, personal stories, that it's difficult to kind of, like you must go like, where do we keep finding the stories? And Doctor Who isn't a series that has its natural lifespan, right? So like The Sopranos, like Breaking Bad, whatever, when we go, we have a TV show here that is going to be 5 series and that's it, and we can neatly wrap it in a bow. This is a show that's been going since 1963 that doesn't really intend on having an end. Do you know what I mean? Like they're not looking at going, this is going to be the final series, it's going to end in the year 20 whatever. Like this is a show that I'm assuming the corporates, and probably the reason Disney have bought it, is that they kind of go, we just want this to keep churning, we want it to keep going and stuff. So I do get why new season, like different, do you know what I mean, like restart it, but kind of because it doesn't work in the way that other TV shows do, and I think that's a good thing, like for
Yeah,
what it is, what it's trying to be. But yeah,
yeah, I agree with you. Right, let's get watching. So I'll press play and then we will stop at certain points to discuss what we see. First of all, I mean, we can tell from this shot alone.
Should we say too much, given that we both know our esteemed colleague Dan, who's famous for watching Doctor Who, has seen the trailer?
I think Dan will have seen the trailer.
Do you think
Um,
we can
and
play
there's
it?
I mean, I think there's also a 99.9% possibility that Dan isn't going to listen to this podcast. So, so we'll just play it.
We're gonna play fast and loose, everyone.
All right, 3, 2, 1. How good does that look, Jerome? How good does it look?
You know what? In my head there, I was like, Mike's going to press pause within 3 seconds. And if we just take a tasty look at that timer. Beautiful work.
What a way to introduce a trailer. You've got the TARDIS flying through central London. It looks amazing.
Yeah. I get the impression. It's a great way to introduce the new Doctor as well. Just like, even just that as a kind of like character trait. It's like, I'm going to, do you know what I mean? Like drifting.
Yeah. I also think that, like, I don't know if this is factual or not, but I think I heard that Russell T Davies said that this season 1 is the sort of official start of the Disney Plus Doctor Who BBC relationship, and that the 3 specials and the Christmas special that came before it were more of a BBC driven thing. And I think, and I might just be making this up in my head, I think you can already tell from the first 3 seconds of this trailer that they've got that money now. Like, it just seems different. And obviously all the Disney branding's going into it. And, you know, you can watch this trailer on Disney Plus, that kind of stuff. Like, it's just different. Anyway, I'll continue.
Give me the loving!
The classic 15th Doctor catchphrase. So we've had Alonzi, we've had Geronimo, we've had whatever Capaldi's was, whatever Whittaker's was, can't remember. And we've got the 15th Doctor's give me the loving.
Give me the loving. Great. I think everything just feels like so pumped, doesn't it? About this trailer. Like, everything's just pumped. It's just like we're going straight in. And as well, like, I've noticed, like, the 15th Doctor seems already to have, like, they're going to have loads of outfits, which I'm not against, because, like, every Doctor obviously has their outfit, their iconic outfit, and some of them have changed over time, but, like, they don't really, like, stretch out, do you know what I mean, into other kind of like diverse wardrobes. And maybe, again, like you say, it's because of the money, the budget. We can't just have new clothes and Emperor's new clothes like every week, do you know what I mean, for like every different episode. But I think it's good. It keeps it alive. It keeps it kind of going, like, all sorts of personality and everything. But no, yeah, I think it's Give Me the Loving is going to be, I can't wait to be shouting that at you in Bristol every time I like come and meet.
I'll just run away and say, who's that? I don't know who that is.
Who's that strange man?
Right.
Who's not well.
Where did he come from?
I don't know, he sort of popped up at the right moment. And then he spoke about time travel.
Ruby, you want to know my secret? I have the whole universe at my fingertips, and I'm on my...
Have you ever been as convinced with a Doctor as immediately as you're convinced with Ncuti Gatwa's 15th Doctor? I was convinced from the moment he appeared in The Giggle onwards. I think he's so good.
He's extraordinarily charismatic, 100%. And I think you kind of want to watch him. There's a deep presence thing. Personally, like, for me, the one that really grasped me the most, I don't know whether it's because I felt like I related to them, or just there were certain that, like, in my head, if I thought of Doctor Who and I went, if I was to like play the Doctor, or if I had like my version of the Doctor, what would I see immediately? Like, was the moment I saw Matt Smith in like the tweed and the bow tie, and the way like he was trying on ties and like just did that speech at the beginning, and like the beast from the first episode just like fled because they were like, he was like, look me up in the universe in the diary. Like, when I saw that, I was like, that's how I saw the Doctor, like from a kid and stuff. So Matt Smith for me was the one where I kind of went, oh my, like, this is done things. But honestly, like, Ncuti's introduction, I think, has been seamless. It's been great, because like there's always a worry that when a new Doctor comes along, you kind of go, do you know what I mean? Because if you formed an attachment with the previous one, it's very difficult to let that go. Do you know what I mean? And try and like, I think one of the biggest probably changes was Matt Smith to Peter Capaldi. That was like, whoa. Do you know what I mean? Because it was like, because at least with David Tennant and Matt Smith, both kind of wore sneakers, both enjoyed, do you know what I mean? The kind of the youthful, energetic, slightly wild-eyed buzz about them. Whereas Peter Capaldi was suddenly not that. Do you know what I mean? In terms of like very different. So like, again, that things can take dynamic changes and things. Yeah, I think he's going to be fab. I hope he is. Obviously, like, you know, we'll have a better idea by the end of the first series, because obviously, like, we've seen certain elements to this Doctor, but obviously, like, when they're inevitably put through the rigmarole of emotional journey, the first mistake they make, you know, how they deal with it, or when they annoy a character, or when they do something they shouldn't have, or when they're extremely happy, or when they talk about like, there's so many things to kind of cover. It will be interesting to see how, like, he comes up with that. But I want to ask you something actually about David Tennant, but I'll wait till the end of the trailer because it links back to this. But I'll wait.
Cool. Right.
All on my own. I'd love it if you came with me.
Who are you?
I'm the Doctor.
That's great, isn't it? Also, cheeky little Tennant reference. If we go back a little bit, you can see Tennant's face.
Yep.
Not only, let's see if I can pause it at the right time. Not only here, sort of on the right-hand side, but it's also on all of the screens in the background.
Yeah.
And I wonder if this is one of those moments where it looks like he's being scanned, and it looks like someone's scanning him and saying, "Hey, we know who you are." So I wonder if this is a Tennant era villain, maybe.
Possibly. I the only thing I know about this particular episode is this looks like 19th century garment, and I believe this has been one of the ones that has been kind of shared a lot on, like, from BBC Doctor Who and all of this stuff. But I believe this might be the episode with, and his name has gone right out of my head, from Hamilton. Is it Jonathan Groff? I think.
Yeah, name rings a bell. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe he's very, very well known, but I first knew him from Hamilton. And I think he might be playing a villain in this episode. Not confirmed, don't know that for sure, but I think that's the rumor. So it might be interesting. And if that was the case, he would be like a new character, or would he? Or it's like not someone we've seen in that appearance before, but maybe he's someone from the Doctor's past. But yeah, it'd be interesting. It'll be interesting, I think, to see. But again, it's interesting that they're not running away from the Tennant thing. It would have been very easy to go, yeah, he kind of is around, but we're just going to forget about it until we need to, like, bring him out of his box. Do you know what I mean? Until there's like another anniversary where it's like, come on, David. I think, like, because inevitably that will happen. But I think it's interesting that they are like quite openly, like, having him known in this universe.
I'm surprised they're doing it so soon. I'm surprised they're doing it in series 1. To have this in the trailer as well.
Yeah.
This version of his face here is this does seem like the younger 10th Doctor as opposed to the 14th Doctor.
Possibly,
just looking at the age.
Yeah. That's definitely. It's one of Tennant's most iconic faces, just the whole kind of like he does kind of like anguish and it's like fear very well, doesn't he? But I don't know. It'd be interesting, and it'd be interesting because, like, I suppose that's what's different, is there are 2 Doctors in the universe. Like, they both exist. This is there are so many questions that come out of the bi-regeneration.
Well, technically, they all exist now. The whole idea of the bi-generation, Russell T Davies says, was that all of them kind of woke up in their TARDIS. The Toymaker's gift was that the Doctor never died. Like, the bi-generation split all of the timelines.
Yeah. Which is really, really interesting, because it does clear up it clears up a lot of questions, such as the curator, for instance.
Yeah.
But it also raises so many questions. But then when has Doctor Who not done that? Do you know what I mean? And that would be someone else's.
It also means that you can bring Doctors back without having to explain the fact that they look older.
Yeah.
You can have Doctors populate as peripheral characters and spin-offs. I think it's a genius move. So I think we'll see David Tennant in Doctor Who again. I'm not sure we'll see him in the main series. I think we'll see him in a spin-off. Yeah.
Possibly. I mean, he must be absolutely delighted. I mean, he's just got an income coming in for the rest of his life.
That's the Toymaker's gift. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's carry on.
It's called the TARDIS. It's a time and space machine.
Is it safe?
No idea.
What if I change history by stepping on a butterfly?
Well, that's not gonna happen, is it?
Oh, what's wrong?
Do you reckon that's just a little gag, or do you reckon that has serious implications?
I reckon that in particular is just a little gag. However, the butterfly effect, it's not the first time Doctor Who has gone with this. I think it'd be interesting. It'd be interesting to see how this plays out. I don't think they'd have included it in the trailer if it didn't have something behind it. Because because like the butterfly effect as well, they've definitely played around with it with previous Doctors in terms of there's one in Classic Who. There's one episode I can't remember who it is with right now. Might be like a Peter Davidson episode or something. I can't remember, but it's it'd be interesting because like especially because we're going into the realms of fantasy more, and Russell's been very open about that fact in terms of choices and the decisions people make and things. And there's something else that happens in this trailer later that I think will call back to this, but again, I'll hold off for that for now. But the other thing I would say with this is lots of different locations going on here. I think they're really trying to spread a field, and also kind of I think this is like, obviously we make a podcast about Doctor Who because we love Doctor Who, but I think they're really going in for the new viewer here, the people who've never seen Doctor Who before. I think there's a lot like dinosaurs, kind of like Bridgerton. There was the reference like coming in about that, kind of like your classic sort of robots in space sort of thing, like monsters and aliens. Like I think they're really kind of going into like, let's go to like, what do people like let's not make it too specific. I'm not against that. Like you want new villains, you want new adventures, you don't want like the same stuff wheeled out over time and time again. So I think it's
looks
good.
gorgeous as well. This planet with
amazing.
the dino, it looks the best it's ever looked. Wow.
Yeah.
Right then, let's carry on.
With all my adventures, never seen anything
Side thoughts. I'm still not convinced about that opening title sequence. Space Vortex.
like
Yeah.
this before.
Oh my, Bridgerton! This place is completely mad. Things seem to be.
Jinx Monsoon.
Jinxie.
It looks like all of this is set in that Beatles episode. You've got the instruments in the background, and I'm sticking with my theory that Jinx Monsoon is the kind of the toy maker of the sort of music realm. I think.
Do we think they're a Time Lord?
No, I think they're a god. I think they're a god like the toy maker.
Interesting. Yeah, because I don't know. I've no idea. I'm just throwing stuff out there. But it'll be interesting because they've kind of kept Jinx Monsoon under wrap in terms of obviously in terms of the character and the look and stuff that's been revealed. But in terms of who they are or where they came from, like nothing has been revealed. And also, like I can't help but remember that whole thing to do with the ring and the master.
Yes, yeah.
Because we don't know if he was joking. Do you know what I mean? Like we still don't know if it was kind of like he said that as a sort of maybe I did this, I went against the master, or whether it's just rubbish. I don't like it's yeah.
I wonder if they're going to pay that off in the main show, maybe in a spin-off. It'd be quite cool for the master to cross over to a spin-off. I think.
Maybe. I mean, like, the master's just one of them, isn't he? Or he or she or they like they've died so many times, so many. And and they keep coming back, but it's interesting. Like every time they do, it's always interesting. Like because in previous times, like even Chris's era, he kind of came back on the plane episode. Was it Spy?
Yeah,
Master?
Spyfall,
Master. Didn't really explain how he came back in that one. He was just there, and like it was fine. Do you know what I mean? Because they kind of went, you don't need to know. He's just here, and you sort of bought it because that's what the character does. But there's so many times, and I don't like to think. I believe it's because they were like, no idea, just bring him back. Like we've got nothing here, boys. Just bring him back. But yeah, it's I don't know. We'll have to see. I think it will definitely have a callback for sure, 100% at some point.
Cool.
To be turning more and more supernatural.
Is that a monster?
No, don't be silly. There's no such thing as monsters. They're just creatures you haven't met yet. There are powers beyond the universe so vast. The whole world could slide into the pit.
Wow. Look at that. Like absolutely decimated London. It looks amazing.
Yeah, there was the one with the black clouds rolling through, like what looked like central London as well. Interesting as well. There was a throwback there to the hooded figure who left Ruby at the church. So that's obviously going to be something that's called back on. Again, butterfly effect. There's something. Do you know what I mean? There's all sorts of stuff that could be play there. Yeah, interesting. And the other thing as well is, there just seems to be a lot of kind of stuff going on. They're showing a lot of footage of the Doctor and Companion, which I really like, because again, like I think all the best Doctor Who series have been through the eyes of the Companion, like very much kind of like you live through their world. And I think the fact that there's a lot of them on screen together is good, especially given that the rumors are she ain't going to be staying around very long. So I feel like even if she just has one series, like if you can really have that strong connection, like I think it will help.
I'm getting the feeling that it's been designed that way, though. Like it feels like Reeby's. It feels like that character arc has a real solid start, middle, and end.
Well, there's a scene coming up that I think might add to.
Okay. Let's keep going.
This is what we're trying to stop.
Sorry, I did want to say just briefly. Interesting to see them leading into this supernatural element. Things are starting to look a little more supernatural around here. Just different vibes.
I'm still her mum. I need to know she'll be okay. You'll keep her safe. I will keep her safe.
Reeby looked like she was wrapped up in Jinx Monsoon's power here.
There seems to be a weird kind of like I'm just go with me on this. Like Disney, thinking of Disney with the whole kind of like wrapped kind of musical notes and things. Someone I saw something online which I was like, that's bonkers, but I can roll with it. Which was The Little Mermaid, Ursula and Ariel, where it was kind of like, you know, that whole scene where it's like you can go up above sea, you can be with your kind of true love, but I'll take your voice. You have to use the power of body language and all this stuff. But again, it's to do with choices and like, you know, like signing deals and all this sort of stuff. And I'm wondering whether this Jinx Monsoon character is that sort of vibe, where they're kind of like a little bit kind of Rumpelstiltskin sort of toy maker game sort of thing, where it's like, I'll do something for you if you do something for me type character. I'd be interested to know. And again, that, yeah, like you say, the idea of being wrapped in all those notes and things, there seems to be this kind of power, this like established dominance control sort of aspect going on. So it'd be interesting. And also obviously it's the octopus legs as well, that gives it away.
I promise.
It's taken me all this time to realize what I'm here to do. I'm gonna save the world.
Everything is possible. Everything is possible.
There's definitely a big musical number, isn't there? I mean, did you see all those shots of basically them just singing and dancing?
Also, Time Lord Victorious, very much. Everything's possible. Like, don't tell me how to write time. Just darker sides there. The trailer isn't overly dark, it's quite joyful, but there is definitely an undertone of maybe kind of arrogance in this Doctor, which I quite like. I quite like the fact that it's maybe not so much kind of like we have to, you know, we got to be careful with this stuff. It's like, no, I'm gonna just like, it's even with the TARDIS landing the way it does at the beginning, it's like, I'm gonna do things my way. And I think there is very much a Time Lord Victorious or / slightly maybe Valiard vibe going on here. I told you, I knew I'd find a way. I always
Jinx Monsoon is the Valiard, confirmed.
Can you
imagine?
imagine?
And look at this decrepit sort of aged TARDIS. Not the first time we've seen something like this. This is kind of how they revealed the Fugitive Doctor. The sort of TARDIS being buried underground, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Yeah, because that, I mean, it's probably just a random coast, but it also looks a little bit like where Jodie Whittaker regenerated. I don't think it is, but in terms of there's just callbacks and all sorts of stuff going on, I think. Yeah.
I wonder if it's the Pembrokeshire coast. Anyway.
If anyone's from the Pembrokeshire coast, then please get in touch and let us know.
May change me, but I can't trace time.
Fourth wall breaking.
I know, mad. Yeah, I mean, I wonder how they're going to do that. I hope it's just something for the. I don't know. I'm not really a fan of.
Oh, no. But the reason I say that is not the first person to do that in Ncuti's tenure. And we still go back to her. Is it Mrs. Flood?
Mrs. Flood. Yeah.
There's something is
not the first person. Yeah.
Something is brewing. Something's going on. So, and we're definitely, well, we did see her in the trailer very briefly. She drops her shopping bags when the TARDIS dematerializes. But she's coming back. She's coming back.
Yeah, and there's also another really interesting character. I know we spoke about this a few podcasts ago, but I think the actress's name is Susan Flood, which is a little bit confusing. I think I'm right. She's played the Mavity She was the in that scene.
Yeah, sorry. I
Yeah.
thought you meant the woman who played Mrs. Flood. I was like, that's not
No,
Susan Flood.
no. I think Susan Flood is the name of the actor who's playing this mysterious. So she's in the Mavity scene, in one episode, and then in the Christmas episode, she is heckling the band, Ruby's band,
Yeah,
asking them
she's
if
in
they know
the
how to
slightly
play.
crazy headwear and
Yeah,
stuff, isn't she?
yeah. And she's uncredited in that. And I believe there was a spoiler alert. There was an article in the Mirror in which they've kind of they've confirmed that she is going to be back in this series as various different roles. So there's so many going on there. So you've got these two sort of women kind of a similar age. You've got Mrs. Flood.
I would love it if this is just a red herring. And it's just Stephen and Russell and Chris who are just going, you know what? They're all gonna spend so much time on it, and it means absolutely nothing.
It can't though. Like you can't cast somebody in different roles in two separate episodes, like so close together. I think she's going to be the big bad. I think I think someone's following the Doctor.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. That's what I genuinely don't know. It's going to be. To be fair, they've done really well. You know what they've done really. They've revealed a lot that has distracted people enough to talk about things that, do you know what I mean, that mean a lot, but they haven't actually said that much about a lot of things when you start to think about going, actually, who are you and what does this mean and why and stuff. So I think it's good. Also, just quickly, there was some more news on, is it the war between the land and the sea? The new.
Has there been any news on that?
Oh no! I heard there was. Well, it had been confirmed, hadn't it? And there was going to be like a more confirmed release date, I think, coming up soon. So I'd just be interested to know if there's any scenes or any little things that relate to that, because I'm imagining this main series will come out before that does. But I'm wondering. I'm wondering if there'll be anything in that will be like a little, nod towards it. But no, there's a lot, mate. There's a lot going on.
Looks good, doesn't it? It's really exciting.
It does look good. I'm very, very excited for it, and also just very glad to hear David Bowie, because Why Changes has never been used in a trailer before. I have no idea why. But I think it will be good. I'm excited. I think a lot of people are excited for it now as well, which is good because it was on the ropes for a bit. Do you know, it was on the ropes. It was it had been given a bit of a bloody nose, and we didn't know if it was going to get up. Do you know what I mean? Before 10 seconds, and I think like it's come back strong, like it really has. And I think the way they've handled it, and Russell's handled it, has been really quite impressive up to this point. But yeah, we'll have to see. I know they're already filming series 2, aren't they? Or they're
way ahead. Yeah, they're way ahead.
I think they've done it, so they had a bit of a pause now, haven't they? Because Shooty's talked about going off and doing some theatre and things, and possibly having a new companion already. So yeah, exciting.
I think we're well in the era now where we're going to get constant Doctor Who. I think Russell T Davies said we had all these months between Jodie Whittaker's final series and the specials, and they've really been building the empire out. I think we're going to get this. I think we're going to get the spin-offs. I think it's going to be so May 11th. That's our start date. May 11th. And a bit of a bummer. I thought we'd close this one out with just quickly talking about. You heard about the new release schedule for this new series of Doctor Who?
So as in, there's going to be 2 episodes. The first 2 episodes are going to be released simultaneously. And I think it's coming out on BBC iPlayer first.
It is out on iPlayer and Disney Plus first. Yeah. And then it will air on BBC One at 7 p.m. that same day. But obviously most people, most of the time, I imagine people like us will be watching it on BBC iPlayer beforehand. Now, the issue is that it's being dropped simultaneously around the world, which is as to be expected. That means that in the US, I think they get it at around 7 p.m. their time, and our time we'll be getting that at midnight. So no one's staying up till midnight to watch 2 episodes of Doctor Who. So technically, us viewers in the UK, we'll all wake up in the morning, and our US counterparts will have already seen the episodes.
Yeah.
So there's been some discussion about that.
Yeah, I think it's one of the compromises, isn't it, with where the show's going and things. I think, like, ultimately, the kind of rule is, like you say, it is going on iPlayer, and I think people will watch it because I think, like, as much as it's great to air and stuff, like, I think we're in the world of streaming, aren't we? We're in the world of, like, you know, it's nice to be able to sit down at a time. Like, it's quite nice to have that regularity, but also, like, everyone's jobs, the way the world is, like it's impossible to like watch things maybe at a time you want to. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it can be annoying from like, because I also think it's a bit of a British love thing though. It's like there's always this thing about it's like it's ours, it's our show. Do you know what I mean? It's a British thing, but like it's still very British. Do you know what I mean? Like you can't get more British than a 1960s police telephone box that travels through space and time. Like I don't think that's anything else anyone would ever come up with. But yeah, a bit annoying, but again, not overly bothered. The main thing I'll be bothered by is whether the episode's good or not. And also, like I think it's like, so I'm not on many social media anymore, so like Twitter and things. So obviously, I think that's the other problem is like it being spoiled or it being like people putting stuff up immediately. And I think there just has to come in a level of self-responsibility where it's like, don't go on certain things or like mute certain things until you've seen it. Otherwise, you know what I mean? And yeah, I think that there's kind of a level of self-responsibility there now, isn't there? But we'll see.
We will see.
Just quickly before we end, shall we put a shout out to viewers? As you know, we were going to do a quiz for Dan today, but Dan's not here. But should we put a shout out to people that if they want to send in truths or lies, impressive truths or lies, then they can send them in? Because the thing is, me and Mike, we come up with some funny ones and some good ones, but Dan knows us. He knows, I think, maybe the structure of how we'll do things. So if anyone wants to throw in a real curveball, anything, I would say anything post Matt Smith is good because he hasn't seen it.
If you want to make up something that happened in Doctor Who post Matt Smith, send it in. Just comment under this video with your funny story, and I will chop it together. And if you want to throw in some ridiculous things that have happened in Doctor Who that are true, do that as well, because that's the quiz.
There it is. Thanks, viewers.
Well, lovely. Nice to speak to you. Nice. Thanks for watching. And yeah, good pod.
Good pod. Well done, team.